This video covers Learning Objective 4, Construct Financial Statements and Analyze the Relationships Among Them, in Chapter 1, the Financial Statements. This video is part 2 of 4 videos for this learning objective. This video focuses on the Statement of Retained Earnings. So let's get started. There are 4 financial statements. The statements are prepared in the order the income statement, the statement of retained earnings, the balance sheet, and finally, the statement of cash flows. To follow, we will be walking through the basic construction of the statement of retained earnings, which follows the income statement. The statement of retained earnings answers the question of why did the company's retained earnings change during the period. Normally, there are 2 things that cause the balance in retained earnings to change: net income, loss, and dividends. Net income causes retained earnings to go up, while dividends cause retained earnings to decrease. Notice that I have net income immediately followed by loss. The loss is in parentheses. Typically, when we talk about net income, we put the loss after it to show that it could be net loss if the figure is negative, meaning that expenses exceeded revenues. So net income causes retained earnings to increase, while net loss would cause retained earnings to decrease. The statement of retained earnings covers a period of time such as a year or quarter. Just a side note here, most companies actually issue a statement of stockholders' equity rather than a statement of retained earnings as we have here. The statement of stockholders' equity includes the activity for retained earnings and the rest of the stockholder equity items such as common stock. We are covering the statement of retained earnings here to keep it manageable. The statement of stockholders' equity can be rather intimidating at this early stage, and the statement of retained earnings illustrates the general statement concept and purpose by itself. The ending balance of retained earnings will flow forward to the next statement we prepare, the balance sheet. Now we are going to walk through a statement of retained earnings. Here we are going to look at Facebook's statement of retained earnings. Let's start at the top. The first title or heading line of the statement is the name of the company, its official name. The second title line will be the name of the statement. Here I have included the words adapted for classroom use because I have condensed this statement from the original to make it more understandable. Okay, then the date line is next. It tells us the period of time that the statement covers. It is important to note that the statement of retained earnings covers a year. We then see the column heading in millions. That means that 6 zeros have been left off the statements. This is done to enhance readability. Next, we see the top row of the actual statement after the headings. The statement of retained earnings will always start with beginning retained earnings, or retained earnings, last year's ending date, or some wording like that, always. Next, net income will be added, or net loss will be subtracted. In Facebook's case, it had a change in accounting methods during the year. That is a rather rare thing and is beyond the scope of this first chapter. The cumulative effect of an accounting change would be something you would study in an intermediate accounting class. I have just adjusted the beginning balance of retained earnings for this accounting change. Next, we would see dividends being subtracted, but Facebook did not declare or pay any dividends during this year, so we don't see the dividends line appear here. Remember that the top number in a financial statement has a $sign in front of it, as do any later subtotals and the final total. Anytime a subtotal or total calculation is going to be made, you will see a single underline. That means that the numbers above are going to be added or subtracted. At the end of the statement, the final number will be double underlined to show that the statement is complete. What does Facebook's ending balance of retained earnings mean? It means that the cumulative total of Facebook's net incomes less net losses less any dividends is that ending balance. That is the amount Facebook has earned since its inception less any losses less any dividends. We have finished constructing the statement of retained earnings for Facebook. When we look at the balance sheet, we will be seeing that ending retained earnings balance on that statement. Now we have a knowledge check question to test your understanding of this material. After I read the question, pause the video and try to answer it. Once you restart the video, I will be walking through the answer for the question. Let's go. Question 1 is, assume that beginning retained earnings is $100. Revenues for the year total $75, while expenses total $50. The company paid out dividends during the year totaling $10. What is ending retained earnings? The answer to question 1 is $115. How'd you do? The calculation you need to make here is to follow the format of the statement of retained earnings. Start with beginning retained earnings of $100. Add to that the net income of $25. Where did we get $25? It is the net income, which is revenues of $75 less expenses of $50 to equal $25. Next, we need to subtract the dividends of $10. So overall, we are using the equation of $100 plus $25 minus $10 to arrive at the ending retained earnings of $115. That's it. Take it step by step and you will do fine. That concludes our review of the statement of retained earnings. Thanks for watching.